Welcome to True Life Lessons. Today we explore the inspiring journey of a talented young carpenter who struggled to finish anything. Meet Marcus, a truly gifted young woodworker who possessed immense creativity but harbored a deeply destructive and incredibly frustrating personal habit. His dusty workshop was completely filled with abandoned projects, from broken chairs to faceless tables and large cabinets without any doors. He would constantly get swept up by brilliant new ideas, completely abandoning his current work the moment his initial excitement faded. Every single time a shiny new concept popped into his mind, the older, harder project was immediately pushed to the background. This endless cycle of starting and stopping left him surrounded by absolute failure, despite his incredibly high level of natural skill. One day, the town mayor offered him the ultimate opportunity to build a magnificent wedding gift for his beloved only daughter. Marcus confidently accepted the grand challenge, firmly believing that this prestigious project would finally establish his professional reputation in the town. He worked passionately through the very first few nights, driven by an intense wave of pure motivation, overwhelming creative inspiration. But soon the initial thrill completely vanished, leaving him staring blankly at the complex, unfinished wooden structure with deep, heavy exhaustion. He convinced himself that he just needed a tiny break to explore a quick new idea before returning to the gift. Days quickly turned into weeks, and the crucial wedding deadline approached much faster than he could ever have possibly anticipated before. When the actual wedding day finally arrived, the beautiful gift remained painfully unfinished, standing in his shop as a massive disappointment. The furious mayor publicly scolded him, completely destroying his professional reputation and leaving Marcus feeling utterly ashamed of his terrible failure. Lost and entirely broken, the young carpenter wandered alone into the quiet woods, desperately searching for a way to fix himself. He soon stumbled upon the peaceful cabin of Master Samuel, an old, legendary woodworker, known for his flawless and beautiful creations. The wise old man was sitting quietly by the sunny window, patiently carving a simple wooden spoon with incredible, loving precision. Marcus broke down in tears, confessing his terrible habit of quitting and asking the master how to overcome his endless failures. The old master smiled very gently, poured him a warm cup of herbal tea, and told him to sit down and listen. He explained that every single project, no matter how big or small, always contains a dark, frustrating phase in the exact middle. He called this the messy middle, a wild place where initial excitement dies and the actual hard work truly begins to hurt. Marcus suddenly realized that this messy middle was the exact spot where he always abandoned his work to seek something entirely new. The master taught him that true completion never comes from raw motivation, because motivation is a fragile feeling that always fades away. Instead, finishing requires absolute commitment to the boring process, choosing to do the work even when it completely lacks any fun excitement. Hearing these profound words, the young carpenter felt a spark of genuine hope and firmly resolved to change his terrible working habits. The wise old master then introduced a powerful secret weapon to defeat the messy middle, which he called the 10-minute rule. He challenged Marcus to pick the smallest, easiest project he could find and promised to touch it for just 10 minutes daily. The only strict rule was that he must show up every single day, completely regardless of whether he felt inspired or not. Marcus returned to his cluttered shop with a fresh mindset, clearing a tiny corner of his workbench to start his new journey. He deliberately ignored the massive cabinets and fancy tables, choosing instead to build a very simple, incredibly basic little wooden footstool. On the very first day, he set a mechanical timer for 10 minutes and slowly began cutting the rough pine wood pieces. By the second day, boredom attacked his mind, but he forced his hands to sand the wood until the small bell rang. When the timer finally rang, he dropped his tools with a massive sigh of relief, having successfully survived the difficult daily task. On day 5, a brilliant new design tempted his creative mind, but he bravely ignored it and returned to the simple footstool. He focused entirely on the small wooden legs, slowly realizing that the 10 minutes were actually passing much faster than before. By day 10, something truly magical happened inside him. The alarm loudly rang, but he completely ignored it and just kept working. He had successfully pushed through the messy middle, discovering a profound sense of peace in the steady rhythm of his hard work. A few days later, the simple little footstool was finally complete, standing proudly on the table and shining brightly under the lights. He gently ran his fingers over the smooth wood, experiencing an incredibly powerful surge of genuine pride that he had never felt. By finishing this tiny task, Marcus had successfully exercised and strengthened his mental finishing muscle, proving to himself that he could succeed. Filled with bold new confidence, he immediately turned his sharp attention to an old, abandoned broken chair sitting quietly in the corner. He applied the exact same 10-minute rule, diligently carving the fourth wooden leg piece by piece without letting boredom stop him. When the lovely chair was fully complete, he sat on it firmly and laughed loudly, enjoying the sweet taste of absolute victory. He then smoothly transitioned to the massive faceless table, tackling the huge project with the calm, focused discipline of a true master. Even during the freezing winter days, he remained entirely faithful to his daily commitment, never letting the harsh weather break his focus. One by one, every single abandoned piece of furniture was beautifully finished, slowly transforming his chaotic workshop into a stunning artistic gallery. The curious townspeople soon began peeking through his dusty windows, absolutely amazed by the incredible transformation happening inside the young carpenter shop. Even the strict town mayor walked by and stopped in pure shock, deeply admiring the flawless masterpieces displayed proudly behind the glass. Marcus was busy polishing the final large cabinet, sweating heavily but smiling brightly as he secured the very last wooden door hinge. His once messy workshop was now perfectly organized and incredibly clean, completely free from the heavy burden of any abandoned unfinished projects. He carefully wrapped a beautiful, delicate little wooden box in premium paper, tying a bright red ribbon around it with great affection. Walking confidently up to the grand city mansion, the young carpenter firmly knocked on the massive front door with absolute, quiet dignity. The mayor slowly opened the heavy door, his stern face showing a mixture of lingering anger and sudden curiosity toward the carpenter. Marcus bowed respectfully, offering a deeply sincere apology for his past failure, and gently handed the beautifully wrapped gift to the mayor. Inside the box was an exquisitely carved wooden statue of two beautiful lovebirds, crafted with a level of detail that defied imagination. The older mayor felt his harsh eyes soften instantly, revealing deep emotion and profound admiration for the undeniable artistic talent displayed inside. He warmly patted Marcus on the shoulder, completely forgiving his past mistakes and officially offering him the prestigious position of royal carpenter. The amazing news spread rapidly across the town, bringing a massive flood of eager new customers directly to his newly organized workshop. Although incredibly busy, Marcus carefully managed his schedule, strictly refusing to take on too many complex projects at the exact same time. Late at night, he sat quietly in his peaceful shop, looking thoughtfully at the tiny hourglass that had completely saved his career. He remembered the painful days when he was constantly surrounded by endless failures, trapped in a highly destructive cycle of unfulfilled potential. Now he stood proud as a true master, entirely free from the heavy emotional chains of his terrible old quitting habit forever. The ultimate lesson here is incredibly clear and powerful. True completion never actually comes from the fleeting feeling of intense daily motivation. Instead, it comes directly from an unbreakable commitment to the daily process, pushing through the boring moments when inspiration completely disappears forever. Whether you are building furniture, writing a book, or starting a business, you will inevitably face the messy middle of your journey. This is the exact critical moment where most ordinary people surrender, letting their precious dreams slowly fade away into the dark shadows. But if you apply the simple 10-minute rule, you can easily bypass the mental block and build your powerful finishing muscle. Just 10 minutes of highly focused daily effort will eventually grow into a massive mountain of undeniably spectacular and permanent personal success. Marcus never ever forgot the vital wisdom he received. He regularly visited old Master Samuel to share his beautiful new artistic creations. The two talented carpenters would sit together for hours, drinking warm tea and sharing countless beautiful stories under the bright golden sunset. The wise old master looked at his young friend with immense pride, knowing his powerful legacy of discipline was in safe hands. Eventually, Marcus took on his own young apprentice, carefully teaching the eager boy the exact same magical 10-minute rule of completion. Watching the boy struggle through his first messy middle, Marcus smiled warmly, completely confident that the brilliant cycle of success would continue. The secret to a highly successful life is never about how brilliantly you start, but entirely about how wonderfully you finally finish. Thank you for watching True Life Lessons. If you found this helpful, please subscribe and start your 10 minutes of greatness today.